On June 11th, 2020, a video was uploaded onto the YouTube channel Cheesyhfj. This will be the first video in a soon-to-be long-running series called One. First presenting itself as a typical object show no different from the rest you would find on the internet, it would soon prove itself to be much different and change the entire community for object shows forever. This is the story of One. The show starts with a child playing with blocks before it is put to bed. Quickly after, it's transported into a plane, along with several other characters. The child's name is Bill, and the rest are Brooke, Beth, Brad, Bobby, and lastly Bangladesh. The characters are immediately welcomed by an extremely calming and nice voice named Ari. The voice tells them that they will be competing in a competition show he has lovingly put together called One. Each of the characters are extremely excited about the opportunity that Ari has given them. The host, Ari, out of the kindness of his heart, then gives them new names as part of a contract for them to participate in the game show he has lovingly put together called One. Now, the new names are the first thing in the game show that Ari has lovingly put together called One that the characters aren't too fond of. The names are based on each of the characters' objects, which are bassoon, bee's nest, balloon, baseball bat, boxer shorts, and of course Bangladesh. Although I will be calling them by their actual names to honor those that we had lost in the Battle of Mons in 1914. Although the characters are not very happy with their new names, through Ari's love and passion he is able to convince them to give it a chance and go along with the competition. And after that, the first challenge starts and is to stay on the balance beams that Ari has lovingly set up for the contestants. Although Bill and Bobby are the first to hit the ground, Bobby gets so mad he even breaks his own leg. What a silly guy. And with that, the first episode of Oblong Negative Embers ends. Quickly before we start the next episode, I would like to mention the original soundtrack for the show. It was composed by Abel Korzeniowski in association with Drake, and it's truly something to behold, especially for a mere object show. It perfectly encapsulates what the show is all about, and it sets the tone perfectly. I'll play the first song off the soundtrack to show you an example. Wasn't that fantastic? I think they should win a Grammy for their work on this series. But anyway, now to the actual second episode. The episode starts with the always loving and supporting Ari helping to fix Bobby's leg after he had broken it last challenge. After the cast regain themselves, they come to find out that Bill is no longer there, as he has been eliminated from the competition and banished to Nebraska. When questioned about the voters for the elimination, Ari does not provide any information.
He was eliminated. Between him and
Bobby, Bill
the most votes, so I sent him back.
How many voters even are there?
I don't know. I didn't bother to count. Anyways, moving away from the elimination.
This could mean two things. Either the voters are not real and it's all Ari. Now, this could be a possibility, but Ari is just so nice and caring to the contestants that I really don't think he would ever do this. And option 2, the voters are from another dimension. Now, this is a theory I can get behind. I mean, at this point in the show, we already have so much evidence to support this theory. Shortly after this, we are introduced to new contestants because Ari is so nice that he gives even more people the opportunity to win about Tree Fitty. These new batch of contestants' names are Who Even Gives a Fuck. They are so unimportant to the fucking series. I'm gonna put a goddamn counter in the corner of the video for how many fucking times I mention any of them. Afterwards, Ari announces the next challenge, which is to climb up the previous 6 poles, and whoever doesn't do it is eliminated. While Brad is easily able to win the competitions, some of the contestants are not being so nice. Bobby, Bangladesh, and Beth are fucking evil, as they do not want to do the challenge that Ari has so lovingly set up for them. He tries to convince them, but nothing seems to work. After a while of the competition going on and Ari trying to convince them, it seems that Bobby felt a little sympathy in his atrocious, awful, cheap, crummy, dreadful, lousy, poor, rough, sad, unacceptable, blah, bummer, dilly, downer, garbage, gross, imperfect, inferior, junky, synthetic, abominable, amiss, beastly, careless, cheesy, crappy, cruddy, defective, deficient, dissatisfactory, faulty, grody, grungy, icky, inadequate, incorrect, not good, raunchy, slipshod, stinking, substandard, unsatisfactory, evil, wrong, mean, corrupt, sinful, vicious, vile, villainous, wicked heart, because he does end up going on one of the polls, guaranteeing himself safety in the elimination, and he eventually convinces the others to do the same. Maybe, just maybe, there is some hope for these absolutely unredeemable characters. And then after the second competition ends, leaving Subway C, Contact Lens, and Brooke up for elimination. At the beginning of this episode, Beth goes to talk to Brooke and they have an in-depth conversation about Brooke's fears and anxieties from being on the plane. Their conversation continues to go on and they get really deep into it, but fuck that! She's gone! Banished to Nebraska! Let's go with this fucking shit! After that, Ari introduces another batch of contestants. What a generous guy. And, I mean, like, these guys are more important than the second batch, but I mean, they're still not that important, so let's get another counter up. A certain new contestant, Van Gogh, goes up to Bobby and takes the form to look like him. Bobby is delighted, as imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Another object named Stone goes up to them. He cannot talk, but in sign language he tells them how he's a mischievous little guy and is gonna fuck with them as much as possible.
I don't understand that.
Van Gogh then takes the form of Brad or some shit, I really don't care. The contestants then split off into teams, and while making those teams, Stone kicks Beth off the team with Bangladesh and Bobby to fuck with her. Eventually the teams are formed, and their names are Speckley, Juplop, and Jeffrey. And basically nothing of note happens for the rest of the episode, except for Stone continues his absolute fuckery and makes Beth's team win the challenge, delighting Ari as the twisted individuals continue to not do the challenge he's lovingly made for them. But other than that, there's not much to note.
4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Skate. 4. Skate. 4. Skate.
This episode starts. In this episode, Van Gogh is eliminated, and right before he leaves, he tries to take the form of something. Now, we do not know what this scene and Van Gogh were trying to tell us, but from my own investigation, I've come to the conclusion that what Van Gogh was trying to form in this scene was clearly a lightning rod. Notice the similarities? And this can only lead up to one conclusion for Van Gogh. It's truly Benjamin Franklin, the 5th president of the United States of America in disguise. So yes, Van Gogh is really Benjamin Franklin in disguise, who, as we all know, in addition to being the 5th president of the United States of America, is also the man who has discovered electricity with a key and a kite. After the elimination, the next challenge starts, and it's to draw on pieces of paper and see which team does the best. Beth's team, as usual, goes against the challenge in order to take a dig at Barry because they're fucking heartless. As this happens, Stone grabs as many papers as he can to start writing out memes to post on his goddamn iFunny account because it's his main inspiration to even live. The other two teams draw like men kissing or some shit, I don't give a fuck. After the challenge is over, Beth's team is safe because Stone tried to help her change her evil ways and help her do the competition. But of course, she's mad and takes it out on Airy. Poor guy, he didn't deserve any of that. In an after-credits scene, right before being banished to Nebraska, Stone takes the cards to write on furiously. Right before being banished, he throws the cards, and when they land, they spell out, "Ha ha, got him, you fucking losers. PP, poo poo, XOXO, love ya, and ya mom. Stone." I don't fucking know. This fucking episode is to do like 100 push-ups. The entire episode is about Brad, so we can give a fuck. She has a fight with some random motherfucker at the end of the episode, and hold on, go back. Did you see those carrots? This reminds me of my grandma's farm. When I was around 7 or 8, me and my family would spend summers at my grandmother's farm. It was a lovely place. We had grazing fields, fresh fruit and vegetables from the farm, and she even had her own livestock. Those are some of the best summers of my life. I bring up the carrots specifically because of the fact that she would always make these carrot cakes straight from the carrots in her farm. Those summers were so long ago. And it was one of those times in your life that you would do anything to go back to. I miss those times, as you can most likely tell. I don't mean this in a way of hyperbole or exaggeration, but those were truly the best times of my life.
Sit down, have hobby, no sports and stuff.
Now before we start talking about this episode, I would like to point out that the video title and description are in Russian. The title roughly translates to Moon Cows from Mars, and the description translates to Ted. Just Ted. Nothing else but Ted. Continuing on from that, after the elimination, the next challenge is to float in a pool of water. With Bobby's cast, he sinks and drowns. And if you ask me, he deserves it. But anyway, Bobby ends up dying and going to a strange void place that's full of mystery, and no one in the community truly knows what it is. Except for me. All you idiots were too stupid to realize it, but I cracked the fucking code. This place is clearly the bunker from the Steam game from 2015, 60 Seconds. It's all too similar. I mean, there's chairs, a table, and a radio that looks completely alike to the one in 60 Seconds. So you're probably saying, okay Jeremy, well it's very clear now that this area from 1 is the bunker from 60 Seconds, it would make no sense how 1 and 60 Seconds take place in the same universe. Okay, 1, don't fucking question me in my all-knowing knowledge, but 2, they don't take place in the same universe. We can see from the other contestants that come from another universe in the 1 canon. So it's completely possible that Bobby was transported into another universe that has the bunker from 60 Seconds. Now you're probably asking how this ties in with everything. Okay, stop fucking questioning me, but I have the answer to that. You see, remember when I said, option 2, the voters are from another dimension? It is my belief that the McDoodle family are the ones who are voting in 1 from their bunker, and while at first I thought Van Gogh was trying to make a lightning rod before he was eliminated, it's clear to me now that he was really trying to form Little Timmy. And to top all of that, the description says shit about Ted, who is the main character of the game. Okay, lightning round. The challenge is to throw rocks into the pond of water. Beth has an existential crisis while looking at Bobby. They don't do the challenge like usual. The other teams do the challenge. Bobby has hallucinations, and this could be another reference to 60 Seconds. Beth eventually does the challenge, and you know what, maybe she isn't so bad. She only did it so that Bobby would get out, and she could keep fucking with Eric. typical. They have a conversation at the end of the episode and probably talk about how they're gonna fuck with Ari more. In the immediate next episode, we find out what they were talking about.
Alright, we can start the elimination now. Okay, the person eliminated is...
With their cold, dead hearts, they had planned to kill Ari. And they succeeded, as he does not appear for the rest of the show. But on the flip side, they have to learn how to live without him being there, as they cannot go home. They deserve it if you ask me. And what do they do while Ari's gone? Well, they make more plans to kill him, obviously. Bobby even walks around the plane and finds none other than Ari's life support. Now, since Bobby is an evil motherfucker, he tries to unplug his life support, but is unsuccessful. Thank God. Eventually, Ari does come back, and all the contestants freak out because they didn't kill him. We'll have to see where this goes from here.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh.
Okay, we can go over this one quickly. Ari banishes Bobby for killing him, and we finally see what Nebraska is like. Bobby wanders through the desolate wasteland that is Nebraska and looks for the funny memes that Stone had written down, and he realized that he needs to go find Bangladesh for something. It's important to note that this episode serves as a perfect music video for the song Photograph by Nickelback. The lyrics match up perfectly with the video. Perchance a photograph will be important later. In this episode, Bobby travels across Nebraska in order to recruit Bangladesh for his team to go back and kill Ari once and for all, because this monster will not just leave this man alone, he needs to see him dead. His trip is accompanied by more great music from Alvin Korzeniowski on the OST with a special feature for this track from Drake. Here, I'll play it now. Wasn't that great? Anyway, Bobby arrives in Timbuktu, Nebraska, where Bangladesh lives, and tries to convince him to join his team. Bangladesh seems to be trying to turn over a new leaf and be a nicer person, as he doesn't let Bobby in or even talk to him. Good for him. Although eventually Bangladesh opens the door, and we'll just have to see where it goes from there. At the start of episode 11, Bobby lets Bangladesh burn his fucking eggs. Add that to the list of atrocities this fucking monster has committed. But afterwards they talk about the funny memes that Stone had given them. Seeing on one of them a picture of two people named Ben and Dover, originally thinking this to be nothing more than a cruel joke from funny, Bangladesh realizes that these are people he knows. They go to their location to see if they can recruit them for the Ari killing team, as they'll need all the help they can get. They go to Ben and Dover's house to see they're just having a garage sale, and end up buying a computer so that they can play Fortnite instead. Once they get home, they have an argument about who gets to play Fortnite first, who is better at the game, and something about which skin is the hottest. Their argument is cut short when Texty reveals himself to them, and also reveals to actually be Stone from a different timeline in the space-time continuum, and that this is the computer that Stone uploaded all of his iFunny videos on. Now, that's the uninteresting reveal of this episode. But they also find on the computer an installed copy of 60 Seconds on Ben's Steam account. Yo, shout out to Mom and Dad!
Episode 12. They play a bit of Fortnite, and then they get back to work. Stone tells them about what he's been up to since the competition. He's been making iFunny memes, and on a usual day of checking his Tinder, he found that Ari had created an account for all the contestants. Seriously, he's such a great guy. Although eventually they realize that there's another batch of contestants that were given Tinder profiles, and that they were actually the first. One of them immediately stands out though. Instantly recognizable from the rest, the first one you would ever notice is Katie. While looking over their own profiles for any matches, they decide to see if they could maybe get any of these people to join their plan to kill Ari. After eventually picking someone else, they read that he's homeless and they travel around the city's homeless shelters in order to find him. They eventually do, and they start to ask him questions about his time on the plane and the competition. And with each question they ask, he rambles on for way longer than either of them are comfortable with. At one question, he then rambles about a bomb and a nuclear fallout inside a bunker with a family of 4. At this point they give up, seeing that this man is clearly delusional and may have mental problems. They get in the car and start to leave, and as they do, Bobby perks up with an idea. In episode 13, Bobby finally fucking realizes that everything they've seen relates to the game's 60 seconds. I don't know how he didn't get this to his thick ass head before, but anyway, looking at the notes again, he sees a picture of a bomb, and Bobby decides that it's the key to get closer to the truth. Bangladesh obviously does not agree to this, recognizing it as being a tragedy that would take millions of lives. They fight, but eventually Bobby agrees not to detonate the bomb and kill millions of people, so they just end up going to sleep. But in the middle of the night, Bangladesh wakes to find Bobby gone. Fearing the worst, he goes outside to see if Bobby is going to detonate the bomb. Along the way, he does find him and does his best to stop him. They get into an argument again. It starts out with the bomb and their time on the plane, Bobby saying something about he has become death, before quickly turning into an argument about their Fortnite session and who really got that victory royale. Bobby eventually runs off as the argument gets heated. Bobby gets to the side of the bomb, Bangladesh still trying to stop him, but eventually they're both up there. Bobby hands him the keys to the bomb. And then they're fucking struck by lightning. The beginning of this episode does not matter. Look, we're back in 60 seconds and we see a bunch of people fighting and pushing and okay, this is really the only point in the series where the horror and dread that this series is trying to go for really works for me. The hysteria and panic that these people are in as they push and shove each other really works for me, and pieces of media that have similar scenes work for me as well. Unfortunately, the rest of the series fails to deliver on the feeling of dread that it's clearly trying to go for. I can see why it could be viewed that way, trust me, the pieces are there, but everything feels so safe and secure, unlike other scenarios similar to this. For example, the movie Cube. The fear for the characters and the audience work in Cube because you know next to nothing. You don't know where you are, you don't know how to get out, you sort of know what dangers you're facing, but even then you don't know how to deal with them, and above all else you don't know the other people, causing them to be potentially dangerous. One, on the other hand, does not use any of this fear of the unknown to its advantage. Straight from the get-go, the characters are told everything about the plane and where they are. We know everything about the plane, and even the fact that you wouldn't be able to get home is undermined by the fact that you go home when you're eliminated. And the worst part of it is that death does not have any consequence. The show treats the fact that you can't die on the plane as some really unsettling thing, but it just means that you're guaranteed to be able to go home at some point. But anyway, they're back in 60 seconds. They go over to the radio from the game and look at the iFunny post from Stone, understanding the code on the images could be used on the radio. At first they try and end up in Five Nights at Freddy's. They try again, they're in Family Guy, then Fortnite. They argue about their victory royale from last night, and we come to understand that the radio from 60 seconds is a connection to every universe. They continue going through universes until they make it to their dimension. There's nothing even there though, they just go back.
In episode 15, they start to finally put their Ari-killing plans into action, taking the iFunny memes they believe will lead them to Ari. they get back on Earth and decide to rest and collect themselves before going back. During this time, Bobby meets up with an old friend and curses them out for not being more concerned for him in his absence because he's just that much of a dick. Well, anyway, after a while, they go to a back alley to spend the night in which Bangladesh disappears. Nathan, I'm gonna kill you!
In episode 16, we're back on the plane, and Bangladesh is back. Escape from Tomorrow was a 2013 American independent horror film written and directed by Randy Moore in his directorial debut. It tells the story of an unemployed father having increasingly bizarre experiences and disturbing visions on the last day of a family's vacation at the Walt Disney World Resort. It premiered in January at the 2013 Sundance Film Festivals and was later a personal selection of Robert Ebert. Shown at his 15th annual film festival in Champaign, Illinois, the film was a 2012 official selection of the Polygrind Film Festival, but at the time the filmmakers were still working on some legal issues and asked it not to be screened. In episode 17, Bobby is determined to finally kill Ari once and for all. He goes to his home, but then for some reason chickens out like, what the fuck, this part doesn't even fucking make sense. He gets back to 60 seconds and sees one of the season 1 contestants. But it's not Kaney, so who cares? He ends up going back to where Ari is supposed to be, and after a little bit of exploring, he sees... Wait, what the fuck? That's not Ari. We find out that that's actually Timmy from 60 Seconds, as Van Gogh had prophesied, and that Ari had been murdered by him since 1/8. If you don't understand, here's a chart. Bobby, of course, still takes his anger out of him because that's just the kind of person he is, but we'll soon see why he actually deserves it. Timmy goes about his business, trying his best to avoid and ignore Bobby, but he just will not let up. They go to pick reeds, and Bobby continues to berate and belittle him. As they go back, he gets his comeuppance as he falls and loses all of Stone's iFunny memes, effectively losing his will to live. That night, Timmy and Bobby sit down and talk. Timmy tells Bobby about how he killed Ari and took his place. Bobby is visibly shaken and goes back to the cabin, and somehow feels sympathy and empathy for Ari. We only have one episode left now. I'm excited to see where this goes from here. He dies. In the beginning of the final episode of the show, the remaining contestants on the plane try to pull out Ari's life support, thinking that he's still alive, although of course Timmy just plugs it back in and teleports them back. Bobby wakes up as Timmy tells him he's gonna go chop down some trees. When he leaves, Bobby goes to the computer to find Timmy was the one who made their Tinder profiles for them all along, with new ones for a season 3. Bobby goes to confront him. Bobby, being the horrible person that he is, attacks Timmy. He manages to get away, but accidentally hits a tree which falls onto his leg, breaking it. Timmy is a great person though. He gives him a cast and everything. You know what? Maybe Timmy isn't such a bad guy. He then dies. As we see those on the plane crying at the fact that they'll be trapped forever, Bobby wakes up and goes to the computer. Looking at the planet, we can only assume he'll learn how to use it and, with the terrible person that he is, continue the cycle of abuse.
I hate you so much, Ted. Like, yo, Ted, every single day of my life you torment me.